Let's take a look at some other word breakdowns. We're going to be really particular here to the integumentary system, so make sure that is the word list you have in front of you. All right, let's see if we can define the term hyperhidrosis. Hyperhidrosis. Again, give this an attempt for yourself and then see our solution after the end. I know you can do this. So the prefix here in the word hyperhidrosis is the term hyper, H-Y-P-E-R, which means excessive or a lot of something. Hydro, whether it's H-I-D-R-O or H-Y-D-R-O, refers to sweat. And the suffix osis, O-S-I-S, refers to an abnormal disease. So hyperhidrosis is when you abnormally sweat too much. So it's excessive sweating if we want to kind of give it a simplified sort of term. So hyperhidrosis, excessive sweating. Let's take a look at another example. Sclerosis. The word is sclerosis. See if you can break it down yourself first. All right, in the term sclerosis, there is no prefix. The root term here is sclero, which refers to being hard, and usually harder than it needs to be. An osis is an abnormal disease, making the word sclerosis an abnormal hardening. So we should have nails, toenails, bottoms of the feet that do have a lot of tougher, thicker outer layers. However, if it's occurring in other places where the skin should be a little bit softer and more movable, we call that sclerosis. All right, I do want to point out an alternate option because sometimes when we're looking at things, we could break things down a couple of different ways. And so one of the other options, depending on which textbook, which website, or what you're referencing, you may see that whole term sclerosis as a single suffix in some texts. And I just wanted to make sure that you're aware that sometimes as you're looking through the internet and you're not using any one particular textbook, you might see two very slightly different ways of breaking it down. Technically, both are correct. And if you look at the end of the day, if we make the sclero and the osis two separate terms versus this suffix here, sclerosis, just as hardening, we essentially come up with the same sort of disease, right? So we're still talking about a hardening of the skin where it shouldn't be, which keeps us from moving properly. So whether you break it down with a root and a suffix or a suffix only, you still come up to the same solution in terms of a definition. Let's take a peek at one more example. The next word is sudoriferous. Sudoriferous. That's kind of a tough one to say, but go ahead and see if you can find it on your word list. Take a moment, break it down. Okay, so sudoriferous does not have a prefix. Sudorifero does refer to sweat. And the OUS suffix is pertaining to. So the term sudoriferous is pertaining to sweat. Now, oftentimes when we went to look at that integumentary skin diagram, and if you didn't watch that video, go back and watch that video because you will see an example of that in there. So the sudoriferous gland is the one that produces sweat. So on occasion, you just see it labeled as a sweat gland. Sometimes you see it labeled as the sudoriferous gland. It's the same thing because now you can see that this word just means to sweat. All right, let's do another example. Excoriation. Excoriation is the word. Go ahead and see if you can break it down yourself first, and then we'll go over the solution together. All right, so there is a prefix in the word excoriation, and that is the EX or X portion, which means to be outside or to get away from something. The root term here is choria, which refers to the skin, and now this is the third potential root term we have seen for the skin. So While this one is not nearly as common as the other two we have talked about, this one can also mean the skin. And our suffix here is ation, A-T-I-O-N, which is an action of. So the definition of the term excoriation refers to an action of removing that outer layer of skin, so to get it away from you. This is a really fancy way to say some scratches right on the surface of the skin. And so what happens is you're removing that outer layer of the skin, and so it's literally the breakdown of this word. But if you see that term, we're generally talking about multiple scratches on the outer surface of the skin. All right, let's do another one. Collagen. Collagen. See if you can break it down. All right, so the term collagen does not have a prefix. It does have a root term, colo, okay, or kala, which refers to being jelly or gel-like in a substance. So essentially, it's a little bit fluid, kind of think jello jiggler type consistency where there is some give to it when we're talking about collagen. Our suffix here is gen, G-E-N, which refers to the creation of. The term collagen is the creation of gel or this jelly-like substance, and it's actually what gives skin its very plump appearance, right? Keeps it stable, right, on the surface of your skin, and you tend to lose collagen as you age, which is what gives us wrinkles as we get older. All right, I know you've done a perfect job here. You're killing it, so keep doing the hard work. Next up, let's look at a